Britain approves the extradition of Dewani, and President Zuma concedes job creation is progressing too slowly. Good afternoon. In news just in, Britain has reportedly approved the extradition of murder-accused Shirin Dewani to South Africa. Reports say British Home Secretary Theresa May made the decision a short while ago. Dewani, Xolile Mngeni and Mziwamadoda Kwabe are accused of murdering honeymooner Annie Dewani in a simulated hijacking in November last year. We'll have more details in our next bulletin. Police have confirmed that the body found dumped on the side of the R59 in Brackendowns, east of Johannesburg, is that of Mark Andrews. His body was found in the early hours of this morning with a bullet wound to the head and hands tied. Andrews was a former business partner of slain Strip King, Lolly Jackson. Reports suggest that Andrews was wanted for questioning following the disappearance of Jackson's lawyer, Ian Jordan, last week. Police spokesperson Lungelo Dlamini.
It has been identified as that of Mark Andrews. At this stage, we haven't linked his murder to any other cases that are under investigation, but as we progress with the investigation, that possibility exists. We have opened another case. At this stage, we haven't identified the suspects, but we are appealing to the members of the public with information to come forward.
2 robbery suspects have been killed and another has escaped in a shootout with police in Diepkloof, south of Johannesburg. It's alleged that the 3 suspects held security guards at a supermarket in Rosettenville, robbed them of a cash box and a pistol, and then fled. They were then spotted by police and a shootout ensued. Police spokesperson Tisika Windo.
Immediately after the shootout, it was discovered that 2 of the 3 suspects were fatally shot and 3 unlicensed firearms were recovered, as well as the cash box that was robbed earlier, together with the getaway motor vehicle. Currently, we're still looking for the 3rd suspect who managed to escape from the scene. We're investigating cases of attempted murder, inquest, possession of unlicensed firearms, as well as cash-in-transit robbery.
President Jacob Zuma has conceded that there have been setbacks in government's efforts to create jobs. He was addressing representatives of the motor industry in Port Elizabeth. Zuma says more hard work is needed to achieve the new growth path target of 5 million jobs by 2020. He says government's long-term focus is on boosting the manufacturing sector in general and the auto sector in particular.
This is more important in light of the recession that followed the global economic crisis, as well as the current growing uncertainty about the pace of global growth, particularly in the European Union and USA. Amongst other support measures, the IDC has announced a massive increase in the level of industrial funding.
COSATU has vowed to challenge the Supreme Court of Appeal's ruling, which found that unions could be held liable for damage caused by workers during strikes. This is because the ruling will make it difficult for trade unions to get permission to embark on protest action. Recently, the city of Cape Town sued the Municipal Workers Union SAMU for damages caused during a march in the city centre. Labour analyst Tony Healy.
It has an influence over the behavior of strikers in public places. Municipalities will now have a greater right to refuse permission for such protests. A union would want to protest in a metropolitan area. They would apply to the municipality for permission to do so. And if the municipality is of the view that there are reasonable grounds to conclude that the potential exists for damage to property, then first of all, the municipality is now able to more easily decline those applications.
Several beaches on the Falls Bay coast have been closed following a gruesome shark attack near Fishhook in the Cape Peninsula. A great white shark severed the legs of a 44-year-old bather earlier today. The victim lost his lower right leg and part of his left foot. He's been airlifted to hospital in a critical condition. City of Cape Town spokesperson Greg Ulefse says it's the first shark attack in the peninsula this year. And finally, Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe says the question of the Dalai Lama's invitation to Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu's birthday has not come up in his discussions with the Chinese Deputy President. Motlanthe has met the Deputy President in Beijing on the 2nd day of his official visit to the Asian country, aimed at boosting trade and international cooperation. SABC senior political reporter Thulasizwe Semelane reports.
Motlanthe was ushered into the majestic marble and gold-walled People's Great Hall in Tiananmen Square ahead of his meeting with Jinping. A quick inspection of the ceremonial guard, and then it was down to the business of trade and political relations between the two nations. But Motlanthe says the Dalai Lama was not discussed.
No, not at all. It's not a matter for bilateral relations.
The two countries have sealed a cooperation agreement in geology and mineral resources, as well as a financial deal between the Development Bank of South Africa and the Chinese Development Bank. Thulasizwe Semelane, SABC News, Beijing, China.
Recapping the top story, Britain has reportedly approved the extradition of murder accused Shirin Diwani to South Africa.